Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Aaron again. We back with another video here, and today's topic of discussion is going to be webinar KPIs. This is going to be a good one because, man, there's so many entrepreneurs that jump into this game and they don't even know their numbers, or they don't know exactly what numbers you need to pay attention to. So, in other videos, and I'm going to continue to talk deeper about this, but in other videos, I've already broke down the exact funnel flow that you need to be using if you're looking to scale your specialized knowledge online. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. It's a video where I broke down over $30 million in sales, and I broke down the exact same funnel flow that we use across all the brands that we work with when it comes to growing and scaling a webinar business and selling your specialized knowledge online. So first things first, I'm going to be breaking down like the front end metrics, because you got metrics leading into the webinar that you need to know, and knowing those metrics and basing your decisions off of those KPIs are going to help you make sure you maintain profitability. So that's that first. And then also we're going to go over the metrics or the KPIs, whether when it comes to like actually getting on your actual webinar, and the back end as well, because there's a ton of money to be made on the back end when it comes to actually getting new customers into your ecosystem through webinars. So enough of that. I just wanted to do a quick intro, let you guys know what you're in for. I appreciate you tapping in. Like, comment, subscribe. This is going to be a good one. Let's jump right into it. All right, so I got my list right here. And quick funny story, I am new to the YouTube world. I'm actually learning the platform, but I like to implement while I learn, because I'm a fast action taker. You guys are going to learn a lot more about me when it comes to speed of implementation. So I was actually filming this video with my iPad originally, but I couldn't quite figure out how to, because I would have preferred to be drawing this all out and writing this out and breaking it down, but I couldn't quite figure out how to connect everything like I needed to. And I didn't want an iPad to get in the way and slow me down from putting out this fire. So webinar KPIs you must know. If you're running webinars right now, you definitely got to know this. Or if you're looking to get into webinars or you're struggling with your webinars, you got to know your numbers so that we can make strategic decisions. First things first that I'm going to go over is going to be, this is a simple one. This is pretty much your cost per registrant and then your opt-in rate, right? So basically all of these numbers, as I explain, this is going to get real clear to you. Then at the end of this, I'm also going to show you how we do our projections whenever we're getting ready to, lock in with a new brand or a brand we're already scaling. I just want to show you how that looks too. So, all right. So first things first, I'm going to explain each one, and then I'm going to come back and kind of give some context on it. So, just so we understand what we're looking at here. So right here, this is our cost per registrant, and then this is our opt-in rate. Because, we're driving our traffic to a landing page, and I'm speaking of all of this, based around you actually running traffic and getting more eyeballs on your offer, getting more eyeballs on your actual webinar funnel to get new prospects into your ecosystem. So as I speak through these numbers, I want you, if you never ran ads before, some of the numbers may sound like low to you, because you may be thinking about like, when I check my data, my opt-in rate's 50% or 60% or something like that. But I already know if your numbers are like that, then I was like, okay, cool, you're running you're talking about warm traffic, or you got some, just your organic audience. It's going to differ when it comes to like brand new people, getting strangers and new eyeballs into your ecosystem. So I'm speaking of all of this from the idea that it's, new traffic that's running into your ecosystem, right? So cost per registration, or AKA cost per lead, and then our opt-in rate. And then right here, bridge. I'm not going to, basically the bridge, I'm not going to explain each thing from a funnel, because I got other videos where I break that down. So if you haven't seen my video where I talk about two brands we scaled collectively over $30 million in sales. I also got a free training in the link in my bio on Instagram, AaronBall30, AARON, BALL30, where I really break down our webinar funnel that we use across all the brands that we work with, and we crush it, generate millions of dollars. But basically bridge sale, that's going to be, basically what our conversion rate is. How many people buy our offer once they opt into our webinar, and we don't take them straight to the thank you page. We take them to a bridge sale. And then our BODO, that's basically just our bridge one-time offer, right? That's the offer that we sell to them after they buy our bridge. So whether it's our upsell or our downsell, we take them to an additional offer, and that's that conversion rate. Show rate, that's going to be, basically the amount of people that registered for our webinar, how many of those people showed. And once I really start to break this stuff down, and at the end of this video, I'm actually going to show you guys how we go about planning and preparing for the brands that we work with when it comes to like actually launching and spending money on, because everything should be strategic. Everything should, you got to get data first. So you do have to get a baseline foundation of your KPIs. But once you have the data, you now can make strategic spending moves based around the numbers that you have, right? So show rate, like I mentioned, people to show up to your webinar. I always want you to consider a drop-off rate. So let's give you an example for easy numbers. Let's say if you had 1,000 people show up to your webinar, by the time you get to your pitch, you probably had like a 20% drop off. If you're following a nice framework and, the webinar is actually engaging in everything, you're always going to have a drop off. You're not going to have 1,000 people that come in the beginning and then have 1,000 people an hour in. So we account for our drop off rate. And then what's our webinar offer conversion rate? Like how many people actually bought at the end of the webinar? And then our OTO, because we sell another offer behind the actual webinar. Once they buy the webinar offer, instead of the thank you page, we take them to our OTO page. And then we talk about back end money. There's a percentage of people who should be upgrading. If you actually have that offer, I just want to break that down just to give you some numbers there as well. And then we're also going to discuss other areas where you should be making money with your webinar business. So let's jump right into each one of these and I'm going to kind of explain some things. So cost per registrant, really, the thing about your cost per registrant, cost per lead, it really depends at the end of the day on conversion rate. For example, if your conversion rate is higher here on the webinar, you can afford to spend more. If your conversion rate is lower, well, you can't afford to spend as much. So you should always be, optimizing your conversion rate. But if you're anywhere between $5 to $10 cost per registrant, it doesn't really matter. Like I'm talking about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube ads, whatever the case may be there. If you're anywhere in between there, you should be in a good spot where you can be profitable. Now, there are some occasions where we're able to get even lower than a $5 cost per lead, but I'm not necessarily somebody that's like, there's people out there that'll be like, oh man, I'm getting a $2 cost per registrant, I'm getting a $1 cost per registrant, and they're not really optimizing their traffic. They're not really running traffic in a way where they're getting qualified people into their ecosystem. So a lot of times people may say, I got a $2 cost per lead, and I'd be like, they're not buying. I know they're not buying. Like I spend millions of dollars on ads. I know what it looks like. So don't get too caught up in like, man, let's keep driving cost per lead down. Let's keep driving. Like if your cost per lead is in between $5 to $10 and people are buying, I even have some people where their cost per lead is $15, but their conversion rate and the math is mathing to where we still crank out profits where it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, when we're building and beefing up our business and our back end, and you know how I talk about, if you're new to me, you're gonna learn and watch other of my videos where I'm always talking about we're building a real business. We're building an information marketing based business. So once people get into the ecosystem, we focus on lifetime value, and the business that can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer is always going to win. It's going to be something you're always going to hear me say. So that's our cost. And then opt-in rate, pretty much if you're like, you should be shooting for at least 30% opt-in rate. Now, again, I'm talking about cold traffic. If you're at about 25%, you're doing okay. If you're less than 25%, there's some people that's like, oh, I got a 20% opt-in rate. Oh, that's good. Like, you should be able to get better than 20%, point blank period. If your market, or if you're targeting the right market and you got the right message and you got the right medium, we should be able to get a 25% opt-in rate low end. High end, 30% is great. You could get 32, 33%, but realistically, when we talk about cold traffic at scale, you're not really just going to be cranking out like 40, 50, 60, 70% opt-in rates or nothing like that. That's more so warm traffic. So at least shoot for anywhere between really just 30%, anywhere between 25 to 30% with your opt-in rate. Bridge sale conversion rate, that is going to depend on the price. I'm going to give you a range on this one where pretty much, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to type this out as I actually talk through this. So let's move my little graphic guy over. Just so that way, as I talk through this, you guys can have some little baseline. Let's go. All right. So we said cost per lead. That cost per lead is between $5 to $10. For our opt-in, that's going to be, bring this over a little bit more. For our opt-in, that's going to be around 25% to 30%. So we should be shooting for. I may not need to be playing with this while I'm filming. Yeah, let me not play with this. Well, we'll see how it goes. I had to pause it real quick on this Loom. So 25%, 30% bridge sale conversion rate. I say our lowest one is at about 4% conversion rate. Our best one is at about 9.5 to 10. I would say from a conversion rate standpoint, you just want to, of course, optimize to get it as good as you can get it. But if your bridge sale is anywhere between 5 to 10%, you're looking good. If you're below 5, you need to be optimized. You need to be pulling different conversion levers and optimizing and tweaking your page to see if you can get it to at least that 5% range. Because anywhere between 5 to 10% for your bridge sale conversion rate is great. Then for the Bodo, so this is, just to be clear, they've already put in their credit card information and they've already bought. So here, all they literally have to do is just press another button, and then you're gonna increase your average order value as the business owner. So right here, I'm actually I'm gonna share some of these because it varies depending on what the price point is. Like for our upsells, it can be anywhere between I'm gonna make a video specifically about this, but it can be anywhere between, we got like a super low ticket one that's $15. Like we've had that sucker converting at like 70%. Or one that's like $97, we had that converting at like 25, 30%. Like these BODOs can be pretty high is what I'm getting at, but the range is like very widespread because it really depends on what you're actually offering there. And it also depends on like, of course, it has to be an impulse buy. It has to be an impulse buy, and then the price point is going to make the difference. But you should really shoot for, if you're on the low end, if you're less than $50, I just want to give you a baseline. If you're less than $50, you should be shooting for 30 to 40% conversion rate for less than $50. As long as this offer actually makes sense and the congruency, there's so many different things to consider, and I'm not really going to cover all that in the video. I'm just kind of giving you some baselines, because once I go over to my projection calculator and I show you like real numbers, it'll all start to make sense later on in this video. So that's it for the BODO. Show rate, from a webinar show rate, and this is for a live, right? For on-demand webinars, you can get super high show rate because like it's like instant consumption. Like they get it immediately, or they get it in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever the case may be, versus days away. So for regular live webinar, you should be shooting for a 30% opt-in rate minimum. We average anywhere between 30 to 40%. We got some brands where we're like 40% is less common. I will say that. It kind of depends on the personality. Like a bigger personality that's really really has a lot of authority in the market already, and they're not really actually building that. They can get closer to that. And I'm talking about for cold traffic, but average sweet spot, you want to be like 30 to 35%. Like we've had somebody with 1,000 followers, brand new to the game. They come out, they do a webinar, and we're able to get 30 to 35% people to show up to their event that just got into their ecosystem like the same week or a week ago. So that's going to be your show rate. Drop off rate, I always like to put in a 20% drop-off rate. So like I gave that example, let's say you had 1,000 people that came to your webinar, expect by the time you get to your offer to have about 800, because we account for the 20% drop-off rate. When there may be a situation where your drop-off rate is like 15%, you'll find with me, whenever I'm going into preparing to launch a webinar and scale a webinar, I always want to put myself in a best case scenario. So I give like what's the worst case scenario? Like, well, technically the worst case scenario is that you just get on and you just bomb it and it's terrible and you got a 50% drop off rate or something, but I'm not taking that into consideration. So if you're just doing a smooth form webinar, you can expect to, 1,000 people, you start to drop off, it'll be a decline, it'll be going down. Then before you know it, you got about 800 by the time you make your offer. Webinar offer, that's going to be our conversion rate of people who buy, like I mentioned earlier. So for this, anywhere between 5 to 10%, you're in business, you can be profitable. I know the math turns out accordingly, and like I said, once I jump into this calculator, I'll be able to show you some examples so you can see how that looks. But anywhere between 5 to 10%. And then if you're below 5%, you need to be optimizing. Well, you always need to be optimizing, but you really need to be optimizing if you're below 5%. And I'll base my webinar conversion rate off of basically after about that after we've already got through the drop-off rate, we're like an hour or so in, we're getting ready to transition to the offer. I want to base my conversion rate off of those people, the people who actually got to experience my full transition into the offer to get ready to drop the pitch. Like that's where I base it off. I don't want to base it off the people who just left out early on me. And then the OTO conversion rate, this is one of those that's broad as well, because it depends on the price point, and it really comes down to what you as the brand owner, what do you have to offer there. But it can vary. Just for easy numbers, I would say you want to shoot for at least 15%. At least 15% of your buyers. Low end 10%, like whatever it is, if it's lower than 10%, like you need to do some work to the offer. And I'm basing these numbers off of us being anywhere between $500 to an additional $1,000 that they see. And when you show them this OTO, you want to show them the same offer pretty much at one price, and then a different price for the downsell for the OTO. So let's say I had a webinar, my price point was $1,500 or $1,497. And then after they buy that $1,497, I hit them with a $997 upsell or a $797 upsell. And then I go from $797. If they say no, I go to $597. And that's like the type of flow that you would want to do for your OTO. And then back end, like The projection calculator that I'm going to show you, I have that number, I believe, at 15%, but I also play around with my numbers at 10 to 15% to see what it is. Like the back-end conversion rate could actually be higher than that. I just want to be conservative with it, like I mentioned. So our back-end percentage, we'll look at that as like, all right, of these people who bought, what percentage of these people can I expect to upgrade later once they go through my back-end system? And I believe that I have a quality product. Like you as the brand owner, this only works if you have a quality product. So each product should be delivering an immense amount of value, and it should really, we just got to deliver quality products at the end of the day and actually care about our customer. That's very important. So back-end conversion rate percentage that I like to be around is going to be that 15%. Now, before I go into my projection calculator, I also want to talk to you about extra money. Where you should be making extra money in your webinar business is replay money, having a downsell offer, but where literally you can downsell an offer on the webinar. Because think about it. Think about, like, have you ever ran a webinar, which I'm sure if you're watching this and you do webinars, you've experienced this before, where let's say you had 500 people rocking with you, then you get to the end, you made your offer, you did your pitch, you answer questions, and you're sitting there and you're like, dang, it's still an extra 250 people on here. Like, what do you think? Like, they clearly rock with you. They just spent 2 hours or however long you were on that webinar of their time with you, and they're still sitting there. Well, there's opportunity to do downsells. They probably just, they didn't have the funds to move forward with you on everything that you presented, but they clearly rock with you. They're clearly interested. They're going to come follow you. They're going to be consuming your content. They're going to be thinking about you and what you deliver to them, the value that you give them on the webinar. But they are still in the buying state, though. They're in the consideration state, rather. So that's a perfect time for you to downsell them another offer. So there's extra money in the downsell. Then we got extra money in the flex pay, like people that didn't pay in full and pay that $14.97 to get the offer that included the bonuses. Well, how about offering a flex pay option? The flex pay option doesn't include the bonuses. That's something that we do that works very, very well. And then we got newsletter money. Newsletter money, I can talk for 30 minutes straight about newsletter money. I'm not going to go super in depth with that. That's basically, it is what it says. It's literally running a newsletter that you charge your customers for you to deliver email content. I do work with brands just on a list management engagement, and we run a lot of newsletters, and a lot of money that you can make with that, because when people are building rapport and building trust with you on that newsletter, they're reading your emails every single week. They're literally just, you're priming future customers with that. And at the same time, I like to view it as that, like, I'm getting back some of my ad spend. So if I have a low ticket newsletter that I charge $20 a month, and I get that $20 a month up to $10,000 a month in revenue, $20,000 a month in revenue, whatever that number is, I'm like, that's an extra $20,000 that I get to spend to that I get, that basically I'm recouping some of my ad spend that I get to spend. And on top of that, you're marketing in the newsletter anyways. So it's literally like you're getting paid to market to people, but your newsletter does need to be valuable though. So that's it for the KPIs. Now I'm probably going to pause this here real quick because I want to pull up my other tab, and I'm going to actually break down the projection calculator that we use to really dial in all these numbers when working with the brands, with the webinars. And I really want you to be able to see what that actually looks like. All right, so before I jump into this, I do want to start off by saying, if you're just starting off and you're brand new, like let's say we're getting started working with a brand, if we don't already have the numbers that they are already doing with their webinar, then we're not able to plug in actual numbers, right? At this point, we will plug in ranges of numbers so we can understand, okay, this cost and conversion, these are what we need to hit in order to maintain our profitability. At this cost, this is what we need to hit in order to maintain our profitability. So I'm going to actually talk through this and just plug in something, just off, real time or a real time type of example. So let's say the price of our bridge sale is $37. Let's say our average conversion rate, let's say it's on the low end. Let's say we're converting at 5%. Let's say that our price of our Bodo is, let's go $19. We're on the low end. So on the low end, we're typically converting, we'll go 40%. We're typically converting, much higher at those lower price points. Because again, this is an impulse buy. Average webinar show rate, we can go right in between the average. Let's go 32.5. Price of our webinar offer, let's say that we're at $1,500. Well, we go $1,497 for our webinar price. Average webinar conversion rate in between the 5 to 10%. Let's say we're on our low end, 5%. Back end offer, let's say that we have a back end offer where we charge a additional Let's say we got a 4K offer. We got a 4K. Whoops, put $4. Let's say we got a $4,000 back end offer, and then we also have our webinar OTO. Let's say our webinar OTO. Technically, these are the back end offer comes after the OTO. But let's say our webinar OTO is $497. This isn't set up to where it covers the upsell and the downsell. So this is just one, but we could easily have like the upsell was $497, the downsell was $297 if they said no on the $497. But as I'm putting all these numbers here, I'm going to come up here and explain what we got here, because basically as I put these numbers here, it's giving me my projections up here. And let's say our average webinar conversion rate for that, or our webinar OTO conversion rate is 12%. Just throwing some random numbers here for a business. Now, I will say this does not cover, I actually have a note up here. This projection calculator is not covering the bridge downsell, flex pay optional webinar, our low ticket newsletter, or our replay revenue. All the areas where I showed on the other side extra money. So again, if we're able to be profitable in this, I want to put a brand that we're working with in the best case ideal scenario. So if we're able to be profitable on this, taking into consideration, we're not even including the replay revenue and all those other things that I'm talking about, then it's like, we're going to make money. We're going to be in profit if we make sure we stay within our parameters here. So let's come here. I started in between. Let's go. We got, how many rows we got? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In between our 5 to 10 range. As you spend more too, your cost is going to go up. So for example, we got brands where we're spending $100,000 a week for a webinar, right? And our cost is not that brand at a lower spend. You know, we could have been getting around $5, but now they're in between the 10 to 12, 10 to 13 range. And we're still able to crank out, mad profits, because we have, at that point, by the time you're spending that much, you're building out your ecosystem, you got more offers, you got a conversion rate that's good, you're dialed in. So you're able to do really, really well. So right now, these are our numbers, and let's say that we're spending, I guess 10,000 is a good number. So I'm going to show you guys right here. We got our ad costs. Let's say we spent 10,000 in a week to our webinar, and with these are different. Basically, what this is giving us in the yellow is giving us, our registrants, our bridge sale buyers, how much revenue did we make on the front end, how many people bought our OTO offer, and we have our price of our OTO offer here. How much additional money did we make from our OTO? But before I continue, this is basically the entire funnel all the way into the back end. Before I continue, I do want to explain that basically what we're looking at in these green columns. Look at this is like, all right, if I'm at a $5 cost per lead and my $37 is converting to 5%, and I got 2,000 leads, that 5% got me 100 buyers for extra $3,700. So you recouped 37% of your ad spend, right? Because this is what that would look like for that $3,700. So then if you think about it like, okay, $3,700, and basically our cost per lead is lower because now we got back extra money. That's not even numbers. So I can't even do that math in my head in terms of what that cost per lead would be coming from $5. But I just want to really make sure you understand we recoup some ad spend. Now we put an extra layer here and we see that, all right, we bought back another $760. Or you can look at it this way. Let's say this $3,700 right here, and our cost per lead, let's just say our cost per lead was $10 and we bought back $3,700. That just means we got an extra 370 leads that we just got just for recouping some ad spend. So that's another way to look at it too as well, in terms of what you're doing on the front end, so that way you can understand the importance. I just want to harp on the importance of us actually recouping. So as you come through here, we got our attendees webinar based on show rate, so we can see about roughly how many attendees we have based on from 5 to 10. And then we got our 20% drop-off rate pre-programmed into this. So we see our 20% drop-off rate. That means if we're at this $5 range, we started at $650, we ended at $520. And then we have our conversion rate here based upon what we said our conversion rate was at 5%. And this is where we get into our actual revenue. This is where we're able to see what our return is, right? This lets us know, the good thing about this is you can see $5 on 10,000. And if these are your numbers, like, oh, you're looking real good. You're Forexing your money. But we can also see what is our number to where we start to lose money. So we're not doubling at $15. We're not doubling anymore with our same metrics right here. We're at 1.4. So if we go to 20, oh, we breaking even. We're not doing very well. We breaking even. But I mean, if you went straight test mode, you really should be making money like out the gate with your webinar. But if you're in test mode and you're not a good presenter and you're needing to understand what's your range of volume, and you need to just get some reps in so you can become a better presenter, then you can literally use this to see like, what is my worst case scenario if I just bomb it? Oh, okay, cool. If I'm in this range, I'm not losing money. If I'm in this range, I'm making money. You're just really able to know your numbers so you can move in a much more strategic manner. That's another way that you can utilize this as well. But I just wanted to show that here. But let me put this back on 5 so we can continue to look, because we're also able to see we now have, based upon 15% of back-end buyers, if we have that 4K offer, this also gives us, I think I skipped over the OTO. So we got our OTO here. This gives us our total. Again, this is our total return on ad spend, taking all the green into consideration. And then we have our back end. Like, this is how much money we can make on the back end based upon a 15% following the back end system that I broke down in that video where I was talking about the 2 brands we generated $30 million with, but we use the same system regardless if you're an 8-figure business, 7-figure business, 6-figure business, just getting started. We use the same system, right? Because the goal is to build information marketing business and build out the whole ecosystem, right? So this lets us know once we make some back end money, what is our return? So we're really able to just see the whole holistic view whenever we come in to make our decision making. But here's one thing where we can really understand where we need to tweak. So let's say we're at $10. Let's say we're at $13. We're at $13 here, and I'm gonna focus on this row, and we drop down to 1.7, and we're like, man, what can I optimize to get this over 1.7? Now, this is where you can start to see like, all right, let me see the areas that I need to tweak, because right now, let's say I'm at 1.7 and I want to be doing at least 2x on my money on the front end. Then from there, I can come look and see like, all right, if I was to butt my bridge sale conversion rate up 2%, okay, that took me to 1.8. You're able to literally see like what levers, or let's say a 2% jump. That's a big jump for you to come and optimize. So, small levers, small hinges, open big doors is what I like to say. So realistically, you'll be doing subtle tweaks, optimizing it, and then eventually get it up and you increase it. But this gives you a visual of what you can actually improve on. So let's say if we're like, you know what, I want to take this 19 to 29. You see, this shows us where we improve. Let's say that we get an extra 5% or 3% people to show. Now that 1.7 is 1.89. Let's say that we convert slightly better because maybe we added a new element of scarcity, or we added a better transition, or we added more social proof and testimonials to our webinar. We added different conversion elements that improved our conversion. 5.5. Okay, boom. We back over 2. So, all right, we need to work on increasing our webinar conversion rate to 5.5. We already increased our price, and then we need to make sure our show rate maintains 35. Like, we now have created new benchmarks for ourselves. That's the beauty of knowing your KPIs and then being able to really do the math and understand what needs to be done to actually hit the result and actually stay within profitability. Because at the end of the day, there shouldn't be any guessing, right? Everything is math. And when you're running your webinar business and you really want to maximize your results, you got to go into it with the understanding of like, if I'm just now getting started and I don't have any data to go off of, well, you got to have some money that you're willing to invest. And I like to tell people, like, if your product, like, for one, you always got to be willing to spend as much as your product costs, right? So, and then with the webinar business, like, you got to actually, like, I don't even like to consider a data pool if I don't have at least 100 to 200 people in the room, right? So if you're just starting off and you're like, you don't really want to spend that much, or maybe you're pushing organic and you're burning down your audience, or you burned out your audience and extracted as much attendees as you can from your audience. And it's like, man, if you want to keep doing this, you got to start running some traffic. Well, when you come into the traffic space, you don't want to be doing webinars with just 50 people, 20 people. You want to try to get at least between 100 to 200 people in the room. So that's another good thing about this. You can actually establish, like, once you first launch your testing guides, you're in the testing phase, and you're seeing what your costs are looking like. And once you identify, like, okay, these are my costs, you can start to look and see, all right, what's my show rate? Then you can start to base decisions around, this is how much I have to spend to get 200 people in the room. The reason why I like to get more in between that 100, 200 people in the room when I'm starting to test and optimize and just getting started is because that's a good, like, groupthink will work in your favor, for one. And if you got a great webinar, you got a great presentation, it's engaging, you got good vibes, you're delivering value in the webinar, you're going to have people who are rocking with you. So the more people that are in there, they're dropping positive energy, you're doing call and response, you're getting good vibes, that's going to help groupthink work in your favor to where more of the room is going to be for you. And more of the room is going to be getting basically conditioned into that buyer state to where it's ultimately going to help your conversion. So I feel like if you come into the webinar space and you're not focused on like getting within that range, you're pretty much just wasting your time and you're not setting yourself up for success. But I know sometimes people may be scared to actually spend money. So that's why knowing your KPIs and knowing and understanding how to break down things like this is important. But that's it for this video. I really hope you got some value out of this. Well, I want to do something a little different here. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But if you got a topic that you would love to see me break down, because I'm going to be putting out tons of content. Like I said, this is going to be, if you read, I got somewhere on my YouTube channel where I actually broke down my vision for this channel. Oh yeah, in the about section. Like I'm going to be sharing my personal journey of my businesses that I run. I got partners that I work with, but ultimately, like, I'm going to be putting out game that is for coaches, course creators, and consultants, anybody with specialized knowledge to really help you grow, like, not just sell a course. I want to help you grow a real business. So if you're looking to grow a real business with their specialized knowledge and build out, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. And I want you to drop in the comment section any topic, any topic you would love to hear me make a video about. I'm going to be in the comment section engaging and building with you. And ultimately, I appreciate you for tapping in, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.